Hey, King's Cross Church, as we enter into this fall, the new rhythms of school starting back up and whatever else may be going on, it's going to look a little bit different with COVID-19 and mask mandates still in order and such. And it's tempting to just want to sit tight, wait it out, and hope everything is going to go back to normal soon. But if we're honest, this is kind of the new normal, at least until it changes again. But for the time being, this is what we have. And so rather than let COVID-19 continue to determine our steps, let's try to make the most of this unique time by redeeming the time and just not trying to coast by. So normally we would have equipping classes offered. We're not going to be doing that this semester, at least in the fall, at least in a traditional sense. But we are going to be offering an equipping class in a sort of way because we want to be intentional about equipping you for the work of ministry. And so we are going to launch what we're calling Theology for Breakfast, and it's going to be more of a class that's more systematic in its approach to the Bible, and I'll explain that in a minute. But it's going to be on Tuesday mornings every other week, starting on September 15th and going until November 24th. It'll be at 6:30 in the morning at the Commons every other Tuesday. And so, like I said, we're going to be looking at the Bible as a whole, examining the Bible as a whole, and to see what it has to say about more broad topics rather than zooming in on a specific passage or passages or book of the Bible as we might do in a normal Bible study. So this fall, we're going to be looking at trying to make sense of God's revelation, the doctrine of Scripture, God's revelation to us, what that means, and also His sovereignty and His election, and those complicated terms that we often use. So think of it this way: if you've ever thought, do we even need the Bible for salvation and spiritual growth, or how do we know that the Bible is true? Do we even have the right version of it? What's the danger in saying that the Bible contains errors? Or maybe you've thought, like, what does the doctrine of the Trinity, how does it impact my life? How does it impact my relationships with my spouse, with my boss, with the governing authorities, with an unbelieving friend? Or maybe you've thought, if God is sovereign over all things, then do our choices even matter? Or how does that play out in God not being the author of evil? And what comfort do we know even? Or what comfort do we receive in knowing that God is in control of all things? So you might even think, well, what do the terms Calvinism, what do the terms Arminianism even really mean? And why are they important? And those are just a few questions that we'll be examining in the next couple of months in this class. Difficult topics, but we want to try to make sense of them. That's what we're trying to do. So this class will be a combination of lecture and discussion. Primary text will be the Bible itself, but we will be using a workbook called Theological Foundations put out by Bethlehem College and Seminary. It's a free resource. You can print it off. Actually, what we'll do is, if you're interested, we can print them off for you and get them to you, because it's a fair amount of paper. And as a supplement, we are going to use Wayne Grudem's Systematic Theology, and that'll really be it's kind of a standard textbook or resource, I guess, for especially people new to studying theology. It's very conversational, very easy to read, and very easily understandable, I believe. So I think it'll be a good resource for you. And that's the only one you'll need to purchase. You can get that on Amazon for probably $25, $30, and I'll try to include those links in below. But this class will be, like I said, a combination of lecture and discussion, but heavy on the discussion portion of it. So expectations: each person is going to be required to read and complete these workbook lessons. We'll only look at 6 of them over the course of the next few months. Each lesson we'll discuss at each meeting. So every other week we'll have one lesson that we'll discuss. And each lesson has a workload kind of divided conveniently into five assignments. There's about 3 or 4 pages of reading, discussion questions you'll answer, and then also sprinkled through there readings from the Systematic Theology by Wayne Grudem. But that's roughly 20 to 30 pages. So discussion, on some of those things. But I would allot roughly 30, 45 minutes maybe per each assignment. So altogether in a 2-week period, about 2 to 3 hours would be adequate, and this should be plenty of time to do it. And so that's kind of what to expect. And for those of you who want to still join, we will try to have a Zoom option as well, and not just fully at the Commons. But that's our plan so far. But just kind of leaving you with this of like, why would I want to be a part of this? Well, we all believe and communicate something about God, specifically about the Bible and God's sovereignty, which we'll be looking at this fall. So we're all theologians in that sense. But the question is, how accurate is your understanding of God? How good or bad of a theologian, so to speak, are you? So that's what this class is going to explore. So I'd encourage you to sign up. I would encourage you to come and learn together in the context of community and learn what the Bible has to say. So email me if you want to sign up. Should have all of this in the comments section below, and I'll try to include all of the links that I've mentioned here today. So hopefully you will sign up and be encouraged and be challenged even to in God's revelation to us and studying how He is sovereign as well. So with that, have a great week.